Must be Wednesday. We got Baggedmilk on. Big game tonight. We got it's a late start as well. 8:30.
Yeah, it's annoying.
I hate the 8:30.
Super annoying.
Yeah, I hate the 8:30. Why did they do that?
It's Wednesday night hockey on TNT, so they want the Oilers in the late slot.
Okay. All right.
It's all about that TV.
Damn Arizona.
Yeah.
So how did the party go on the weekend? Baggedmilk.
It was a blast. We had I couldn't tell you how many people were in there. We packed the place. Like, doors opened at the Pint at noon. I rolled in at like 20 after 12, and it was already 80% capacity or something like that.
Wow.
So it was an absolute blast. We slammed the place. Everybody was in a great mood. Team came up with a win. All in all, Grey Cup showed up somehow.
Oh yeah. I did see
all,
pictures.
It was a great day.
Yeah.
So the funny thing about it is I was there at the party, and man, like as you said, the energy was awesome. Like anytime anything big happened for the Oilers, the whole bar exploded. There's nothing like being there with Oilersnation and your fans. It was nuts, the amount of energy in that building.
Yeah, it was great, and I was pumped. Jimmy came down. It was. I know you said you weren't feeling so fresh on Saturday, so I appreciate
I was still
you
wearing
making
some of the clothes from St. Patty's Day.
Lost his costume. Tried to pick up the pieces to his Peter the Leprechaun costume, but
He couldn't find his pants. They were in the fridge. For some reason, his Peter the Leprechaun pants ended up in the fridge, so he was pantless for the Pint and the Oilersnation party. That San Jose game, I mean, now since we're talking about it, that has to be the craziest game that the Oilers have had this year.
I don't know that I've ever seen anything like that. There was 4 goals called off the board, 3 for the Oilers. It was just, I don't know. It was weird. Everything about it was weird. Shots were going in the net that weren't supposed to. Everything was offside, apparently. Everything was goalie interference. Yeah, it was an odd game. Ultimately, the Oilers got the points, which is what matters. And you'd like to see them beat San Jose a little bit more than by 1 goal in OT. But sometimes you got to take the money and run. And that was one where you just kind of go, well, at least they came out on the right side of it, because it was a weird one.
Does the NHL look back at that one and did the refs get in trouble for that game? Because it was very poorly officiated on both sides.
Well, if there's one thing that the NHL is great at, it's inconsistent refereeing. So I guess in that way, it is consistently inconsistent. So I'm going to guess no, there's no talks
Repercussions
happening with the refs, because I'm going to guess tonight against the Coyotes, we're also going to see weird reffing things. I don't know that they're going to miss multiple offsides and goalie interferences, but I'm going to guess there's going to be calls. Like when Ryan Nugent-Hopkins got tackled in the crease by James Reimer and it didn't get called, it was like,
that was the weirdest.
How do you miss that?
I was yelling at my TV watching that one.
Yeah, that was bizarre.
I didn't get it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the reffing has been consistently weird in the NHL for a long time. I don't expect it to get better, as sad as that is, but yeah, that game on against the Sharks was nuts.
Bizarre.
This morning, the NHL Players Association unveiled the annual player poll results, which I always enjoy because it's directly from the players. It's not people writing about the sport, voting on it. McDavid and Leon Draisaitl both finishing first. So McDavid got first in a must-win game, which forward would be the most impactful, and then Draisaitl was named the best passer by his peers. Kind of interesting.
Yeah, I always like to see that. It's always interesting to see, where the players rank each other, where what they think about cities and arenas and all that stuff. I hadn't had a chance to dig into it yet, but yeah, you're right, Grant. It's always a great time to look at these things. It's a weird little survey.
Rogers Place got second for best ice in the NHL too.
Nice.
Yeah, just behind the Bell Center.
One thing that we've been very careful with, if you listen to this closely and you're a hockey fan, we're very trepidatious about, we're supportive, but we're not trying to get too overly optimistic about what's ahead of the Oilers. And I think that's because as Oiler fans, we're used to being bitten in the ass. But I gotta say, that game on Saturday was probably
the Kraken game.
The Kraken game, for me, was one of those games where I was like, at the end of it, that game proves to me that this team can make a run. Are you Did you see the same thing I'm seeing, Baggedmilk?
Well, the nice thing about that win on Saturday over the Kraken was, one, thank you to Seattle for their horrendous goaltending. Just awful.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. But the bigger point was that the Oilers won a game that they probably shouldn't have.
Yes.
And they found a way to grind it out. And I think that's going to be incredibly important, not just down the stretch over these last handful of games, but going into the playoffs. So I like the positivity, Locke. I'm going to buy into it. I'm going to drink that Kool-Aid. It's delicious.
Ekholm, too. My God, Ekholm.
I'm really enjoying watching Ekholm play hockey.
That was such a good move. I'm so glad we didn't get Dingle Nuts from San Jose.
Yeah.
He is, Mattias Ekholm is such a stud that we talked about him. I remember you asked me, what about Mattias Ekholm from Nashville? This was, I don't even, like a month before the deadline. I goes, yeah, I'd love to have Ekholm, but I don't see how they make it work. And they've made it work. And since he's come in, he's got 9 points in 10 games. The guy's on fire. The beard's great. He had 2 huge goals last game against San Jose.
2 nice goals.
What's not to like? Just that
two sweet
goals. One that ended up tying it up late in the third period, that clapper from
the
circle. Like, I don't even know how he got that in. Took out the old pitching wedge on that one. I loved it. He's just been a great addition, like you said, Locke. Super pumped to have him. And the nice part about it was, yeah, they paid a lot to get him, but he's still around for 3 more years after this. So there's a lot to like there.
Well,
tons to like with Mattias.
We should wrap up with some at least because we need to be consistent with this bit, right? Like this weekly hit, and I think realistic with this weekly hit as well. And Jack Campbell, I mean, I know he got the win the other night, but he still does not look good. Like that first goal, the first shot, I mean, come on. You have to get that. You have to get that, Jack. What are you doing? I'm seeing more and more conversation about the possibility of them finding a way to get rid of him in the offseason. Do you think that's a thing?
I don't think it's a thing because, one, who's going to trade for the contract playing at this level? Nobody. 2, the buyout is over 8 years. Do others really want to have 8 years of dead space because of 1 year of Jack Campbell? So my guess is they try and let him rebound next year. This year's a write-off. There's no point in even talking about this year. But what I think they do is that they go try and getting more experienced backup, a guy who's been in the show a little bit for next year. And if he goes down to Bakersfield, that's fine. But if Jack Campbell struggles as he has this year, I could absolutely see the Oilers doing what the LA Kings did with Cal Peterson and sending him down to the AHL, bringing up their more experienced backup.
Wow. Unbelievable. There he is. Baggedmilk, Oilers Nation. Thank you for your time as always, my friend.
Thanks, boys.
The Locker Room, weekday mornings on 95.7 Cruise FM.